it's also very important to have layer 1, layer 2 as a whole package solution.
But it is competitive to every solution on this panel today, right? Layer 2 solutions. It's competitive to...
we don't feel it's competitive to our protocol. You have to have a base layer that's trustless and scalable. So imagine like opening a channel, waiting a few hours. A millennial won't wait for a few hours to open a channel.
Yeah.
And we're impatient. So you have to have the base layer, which has the most, like in the trade-off, it's the most trustless. And then long-term scalability has to have, the real economic activity should be off-chain, Lightning. I personally think they should have went on a simpler solution first, like just payment hubs, payment channels without the routing, without these attempts. But given what's done, I think that's the right course.
Welcome back to the Kaspa Silver YouTube channel. In today's video, I want to kind of describe the competition that Kaspa has, and which I believe is currently no competition. There's really no competition right now that's trying to compete with Kaspa. And this all really just goes back to where crypto all began. And this is with the Bitcoin white paper. And I've said this many times before, but the Bitcoin white paper clearly says in its title, it says Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And this is no longer what Bitcoin is today. Bitcoin is now labeled as a digital gold, something for a store of value. They really are not encouraging you to be using it as a cash kind of system or peer-to-peer payments. And this is just due to the simple fact that it can't scale. It does very, very good things when it comes to security and decentralization, but it doesn't finish the trilemma because it cannot scale. But to even really understand Kaspa and understand that the competition is non-existent to Kaspa, you have to first really, I think, understand Bitcoin itself, what it is, and the philosophy and the principles behind it and what makes it so great. It's not just because it's an asset that can go up in price and people can make money, but it's also an asset that encourages freedom. But I think a huge flaw with Bitcoin currently right now is that freedom is actually not being articulated the best when you have a problem with scalability. It's not freedom when you cannot do a transaction because the fees are so high, or because you have to wait so long for a transaction to go through and it gets delayed and you don't even know if it's going to get confirmed. That's not really freedom, because it's actually making Bitcoin almost meant for the rich due to the fact that transactions could get really high, the fees could get really high, or it's just delaying your access to wealth if you're transferring wealth from each other and there's a delay in the network because of how slow it is. So I think these qualities of Bitcoin is what makes it not meant for that peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And this is where Kaspa comes into play. And I highly recommend that you do take a look at Bitcoin University and watch his videos on Bitcoin. He's directly like the inspiration of this channel and why it exists. I know he's a hardcore Bitcoin maxi. I think he has me blocked on Twitter. There's really no beef. I asked him one question on Twitter, I think one time, and I think he just blocked me right away just because of the fact that a lot of maxis just are very closed-minded to anything else or another alternative or something like that. But I no hate at all. I watch literally his videos still, as you could see. But he gives a lot of great, valuable knowledge and understanding the current economic situation in America itself, and just how the monetary policy works and why it is flawed, and why cryptocurrency is an escape from the current monetary policy that exists. But learning all this eventually got me to find Kaspa and got me to actually see the vision that originally was pitched by Satoshi come to life with Caspa. And this is just because with Caspa, the trilemma is solved. It's actually able to scale. And as you could see from what Jonathan said in his video, Jonathan there said that layer 2s is not really a competition because he believes that the base layer should be very secure and trustable. And this is the thing, Caspa is super easy to trust because it has the same qualities that you can trust Bitcoin with, because it is, number one, it's proof of work. Being proof of work is a very good protocol to have users trust the network. And this is because it is super easy to explain to people, and the network has to follow these rules that are coded into the network, and it cannot be changed or manipulated unless someone individual was able to grab a certain amount of hash rate power that is higher than the majority. And this is only getting more and more difficult with Caspa, as you could see that our hash rate just currently continues to rise as these ASIC miners come online. And this is why it's important and very needed for ASICs to come onto this network, because if we're trying to scale to a global type of adoption and support speeds that have never been seen before, and still remain secure on a proof of work, you need to have ASICs so that the network can continue thriving. Someone recently said, rip to GPU miners and whatever. And really, to me, it's not really a rip to them, because if you understand the process of the vision of Caspa and how it did start at CPU mining originally, and then we go to GPU mining, and now we and then you have the FGPA mining, and then you're gonna have ASICs now. If you really think about it, it's not a rip to GPU miners, but it's really essentially it's thanking them for their hard work and bringing on a new technology to the network so that it can secure what they have done for the network. Their work for the network in securing it pays them Caspa. And bringing on ASICs now is ensuring that, hey, we're going to continue securing this network and making it meant for global mass adoption. So if GPU miners would actually understand what they're mining and understand what's being built here with Caspa, their value will essentially only increase, because that is just the feature of proof of work, is that the price has to increase so that it could support these miners securing the network. It's not a bug, in my opinion. I think it's a feature. It's like how your car needs gas. A proof of work needs a price increase so that the people who are working to secure this network for the world, basically for us, to make sure that it remains secure, they get paid, and that they're profitable. It only makes sense. And another thing about Caspa is, this tweet came out by Shy, having him clarify that there is no halt chain button for Cas. And if you don't really know what he's kind of talking about, in the past, when Caspa first launched, Caspa actually had their network crash after 2 weeks of running, and they had to ask miners to stop mining. And this was not done because someone was able to stop the network. This was done voluntarily because there's consensus, because people understand what's going on with the network, and they just asked to shut down the miners. But if they didn't want to, they didn't have to. So it wasn't one person. And this is just with any proof of work. Proof of work has decentralization, meaning no one person can control the whole entire network. And this is why it's so trustworthy and secure to hold a proof of work coin, because it could inherently give value as long as, I think, there is scalability. And since with all these other proof of works there's no scalability really, Caspa does have the scalability. Now you have proof of work that has security, which can allow you to have a store value, and now you have scalability, which allows you to actually freely use your value without having any kind of trade-offs. Is absolutely revolutionary to the space. There really is no competition to it. You have proof of stake, but proof of stake is a whole completely different type of consensus mechanism that literally its trade-off is decentralization. It gets rid of that, and it puts it in the hands of a foundation, or a lot of these coins now have all these allocated stuff. And Caspa, with its revolutionary tech, has decided to take a path instead of giving it away to private investors, private companies that would definitely love to be on this network. They instead gave it to the community and made it a fair launch, so that if anyone wanted a part in the community, you either have to mine it or buy it over on a spot market on an exchange. That is the way you get access to this. No one got pre-allocated access. It was fairly done, and everyone had a fair opportunity to try to get a part in this network. And I think that's very significant. Not only that, Caspa is completely open source. This is the code for Caspa on GitHub. And the fact that the developers who made Caspa, they have given this coin to the world. Anyone is free to go ahead and try to fork Caspa if they wanted to. That is crazy. This technology is not patented. It is just like Bitcoin, and the fact that anyone can fork Bitcoin and make another type of Bitcoin. The same thing can be done with Caspa, but it honestly would not be smart, because the greatest minds in the space are involved with Caspa, and they definitely would not move over to your chain that you probably want to fork Caspa so that it's ASIC resistant or something like that. And at the end of the day, ASIC resistance doesn't exist, because there's always a better hardware that can be made to mine a coin better and faster. So this is essentially the reasons why Caspa doesn't have a type of competition, because its utility is the fact that number one, it is a store of value, and there is a ton of credibility. I mean, we're talking, the brains behind this are involved with tons of different white papers. I mean, just even recently, today, I had found that Jonathan is even mentioned in an XRP document, and that was pretty insane to me, because I know a lot of people really like XRP or whatever, and they really think it's the next big thing. But it's like, people are missing the fact that Jonathan is the reason why so many cryptocurrencies exist, and he's been putting in the work for 10 plus years so that he can finally create a coin that solves the trilemma. And instead of making sure that an allocation goes to him for sure, he gives it to the world instead. And I think that's absolutely incredible what we have here. And this is an analysis of the XRP Ledger Consensus Protocol, and you could see that here in this paper right here, it says, indeed the preferred branch protocol shares a common principle with the ghost rule of Samplinsky and Aviv Zohar, which was one of his colleagues that were working on all these protocols when it comes to Ghost and Spectre and Phantom. And then you go on and on all the way up to the Ghost DAG protocol that we have today, and a future protocol that I think is super important, which is DAG Knight, which DAG Knight protocol will allow for basically instant transactions. I mean, I'm talking like internet speeds, which has not been seen before in a proof of work. And this is a poll that Bubblegum Lightning has put out, asking whether or not DAG Knight or smart contracts, native assets, or commerce integration should be first after we finish the Rust implementation. And I'm actually very glad to see here, let's actually double check here, that DAG Knight is currently winning this, because it is so important, like Jonathan said, to have a very secured and trustful base layer. Smart contracts are going to come. I think that's just a plus, but it's really not that necessary for what Caspa is bringing to the table, and that there really is no competition to Caspa. There's all these other proof of works that are now trying to attack Caspa or whatever. You have like the Ergo, and I'm probably going to make a video on these, and the Terra or whatever. And these coins now slapping BlockDAG on their websites as if like they did something. And the fault at these other cryptocurrencies that they're not even marketing what Caspa's marketing, and it's the fact that Caspa's marketing to be a true digital silver or electronic cash system in the space, and these other coins are not marketing like that at all, there's really no reason to hold these coins. There's no store of value aspect to them. It's really just meant to, hey, hold this other proof of work that has smart contracts already. But the only point is to make a bunch of scam tokens that are ICOs and all that kind of stuff, or meme coins that are just pointless. They have no value in the space. And I think crypto's flooded with tons of just noise that's unnecessary. It's not the point of crypto. Caspa is doing the currency part of crypto, and I think understanding that and grasping that will come by just educating yourself on what proof of work is, how valuable it is, and also understanding what Bitcoin is. And understanding Bitcoin and the philosophies and principles and the technology of that, I think will get you a really good head start into understanding what's really being built here with Caspa. So I highly recommend you do check out, Bitcoin University for videos to understand more of the significance of Bitcoin, because I think it can bring you a lot of value to understand what the significance of what Caspa is bringing to the table, and that there's currently really no competition. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and if you guys do appreciate the work I do here on this channel, please consider joining my Patreon. This is a way that you can really support me, because I do take a lot of time and do a lot of research into putting these videos out, which do help you, but they really help me because I'm always researching where I put my money, because I do value where it is. So if you guys do want to support me, consider joining the Patreon. The link is down below. You get access to a private Discord with like-minded people like myself. You'll also get early access to all these YouTube videos before they go out live to the public, and you'll get free Caspa giveaways every single week that you can enter in. So if you guys are interested, please consider joining. And with all that being said, don't be average, be different.